All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Superspeedway Truck Series here at Talladega Superspeedway, second to last race of the regular season before we kick off the four-race playoff. Saying I'm getting my full-on broadcast feet wet once more here to make sure I know what I'm doing. Joining me tonight will be Maxwell Caldwell. We're having some computer issues, and then they decided to fix right at the last second, but we're stuck with me making the main call, I guess you could call it. But Maxwell's going to be definitely, as always, an instrumental part in tonight's race. And Maxwell, back to the big one, say the 2.66 mile oval trial, I should say, with, of course, that extra 8 feet of width compared to Daytona, which gives all these trucks plenty of room to get to that third lane and have some fun, aggressive racing tonight for 75 laps. What are you looking for here for these guys this evening?
Yeah, I mean it's weird not being at the reins, but literally 2 minutes before practice ended, everything fixed itself. But I was gonna make the joke that you demoted me, man. I'm back down where I was. You didn't like it, you demoted me. No, Talladega looking for a lot of good stuff here tonight. It's kind of fun being the driver analyst again, just getting to be in these guys' shoes and get to talk about what they might be seeing and feeling out there. Saw in practice they try to practice pit party a couple times and saw a lot of instances where the leader was getting hooked in those. So these bumpers definitely, when you try to line these trucks up on that straightaway for sure, can get the back ends real light and almost lift them up out of the racing surface. So definitely going to see these truckers fighting these trucks, fighting the handling. And with 2 races before the playoffs, the points, I know for a fact when I was entering them tonight, they're tight. So there's like a 3-way tie for one of the positions, I know, kind of right there middle of the pack. So these guys are going to be as aggressive as they can be trying to get their way up there. And I'll let you lead off on these points, man, because there's a lot of guys fighting for that top 12, and it's close.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect segue, like you mentioned, because we're going to take the top 12 in points right now. On the cutoff is Vicente Guerrero, who has 10 points advantage over Dean Wilkinson for that spot. But then obviously Gabe Butler, he's looking really solid there. Matt Wagner in second. And you see a tie for third with Gary Winters, Richard Sanchez sitting right there, third and fourth. But again, that tie. And then I say you keep going down there. You got Seth Groover, Eric Laurie, Josh Laston, Rudy Doden, Kevin Freeze, and there's that triple threat you talked about there. Kevin Freeze, Todd Siebels, Bud Steele, all sitting at 143 points apiece. So, and that's like I said, that 3-way tie for about the 9th position in points. I mean, that's right by that cutoff. So they can't really rest on their laurels there as well. And the big thing I think, Maxwell, about the points tonight is this is also just counting all of the 6 races so far this season. There will be one drop week. So basically whatever your worst race was, be it a bad result, be it you missed a week because you had something else going on, hardware failures, whatever it may be, that one's going to get wiped out. So then you're going to have a potential to gain a little bit more. So that could be very, very intriguing for those that maybe are on the outside looking in, like maybe a Dean Wilkinson. Maybe he had one bad race and that could jump him up. And I mean, it's not too far behind him. I mean, look at Ryan Decker, Brendan Briggs, 2 points difference between 13th and 15th, and then not that much more either to Robert Rock, Carl Henderson, and Timmy Reed. Let's say those guys are definitely right in the running for it. Unfortunately, when you go further on back, a little bit harder to get through here. So like Jim Brooks, I'd say, is going to have some good luck going his way. Same for Michael Mayu, Bob Fitzgerald, Joshua Hanner. And honestly, I think Tom Dixon on back, these guys, especially myself, I think I'm out of the running, especially not making tonight's race. So it'll be fun to see what they see. I know Brian Wang's going to try to pretty much shoot for the fences, see if he can make a big gain tonight, and then to finish it off at iRacing Superspeedway next week, see if he can maybe make that big jump and kind of, like I said, swing for the fences here tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of guys going for just a few spots, and we've seen these truckers do it before. I mean, I've got to guest commentate with you plenty of times. Then we get to this last couple seasons where I got to do the main commentating, and these truckers are only getting more and more fierce, Gael. The more I watch this Thursday night series, the fiercer they get. And let me tell you, the way this front row is shaking up so far, we've got a very strong contender, a previous champion, going to be on our pole here. And he's going to be a threat to take a win from some of these guys tonight, and it's going to be fierce.
Yeah, you're right. I'd say almost a ringer, if you will, tonight. Sebastian Marin hasn't made a lot of the races, but yeah, when he's in the field, he's one you pretty much have to circle as one to watch. And honestly, I mean, right next to him there, that number 9 Charles Johnson, same thing. He's been pretty much working nonstop here. Finally has some time off. He's going to hop in the truck, and apparently no rust to shake off in that 9 truck, starting in the outside of that front row. And then you get to some of those kind of like we talked about, the guys right in the thick of the points: Richard Sanchez, Vicente Guerrero, Dean Wilkinson, Everett Lane's right there as well. Everett hasn't been in a bunch of races, but same thing. When he's here, he's one to watch always. Eric Laurie, Matt Wagner. We talked about second in points. Josh Slaston right in the calling there as well. Austin Call, David Overstreet, Robert Jordan, our top 12 drivers starting tonight. Then continuing on, then you got Brian Wang and Kevin Freese. And it looks like a lot of drivers opted not to put a qualifying lap down tonight. Looks like Brian Wang, the last of those, to put a lap in. And look at all these guys starting further back. Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler, Seth Groover, Robert Rock. Some big hitters there starting towards the back of the field. Jim Brooks, Gary Winters, a new addition here. Randy Lapidus. Good to have Randy on board here. Bud Steele, Bob Fitzgerald, Rudy Doden. Also Paul Buchanan, a new addition to the league. So good to have Paul in the field as well. And then you get to Todd Siebels, Adam Kilday, Todd Danbury, and Michael Mayu going to start shotgun here in 28th. You got a really good look here, Maxwell, of the pace truck, which I think is just about to start rolling here. And then we'll see the trucks you really want to see. As I say, that thing's going to run over that camera. And yeah, it's going to be a fun race here, though, tonight.
It's going to be action-packed, and, you know, I love talking about points. I love talking about what these truckers can do, but you might think a lot of these guys are going to play it conservative. They can't. These points, and I think, Gael, you can attest to this, are tighter for this top 12 than we have ever seen before. So it is going to be a race of absolute attrition and aggression out there on this racetrack tonight, and there's a lot of guys that can spoil the party, but you've got a guy starting there in row 2 that I say it over and over and over, and maybe I'm jinxing him, but man, I want to see him have a good run. And you've got the focus. You know where I'm going. Vicente Guerrero exactly there. That guy is right on the cutoff in 12th. Didn't have the race he wanted last week at all, but I think he's got the aggression, the drive, the truck, and I think you're going to see him put that truck straight to the front and do everything in his power to block every lane, lead the most laps, and come out here with the most points here tonight. And you've got a guy kind of starting in the back there. Gabe Butler kind of knows he seems okay, but man, one bad race from him, and he's right back in the thick of it too. I mean, this championship really not going to be decided until after next week for those top 12.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's my surprise so far tonight is this pack right here. The 07 Brian Wang, the 25 of Kevin Freese, the 88 of Gabe Butler. Honestly, the 02 as well of Seth Groover. Like, these are guys you expect to be in pretty much the front 4, front 5 spots in the field here tonight. So I'm a little surprised to see them a little bit further back than where they are. And saying it looks like we might have 1 or 2 trucks with the paint scheme that doesn't match their truck. So maybe a little bit of confusion there for those viewing. Hopefully it doesn't come into play. I'm trying to double check. I think it's Austin Call. So you see that 18 truck. You'll see it scored as the number 64. So just a heads up on that one. Might show as a different for paint scheme to the number. But yeah, so we'll see though, Maxwell. It does look like 27 of the 28 trucks are on the track. Michael Mayu actually either starting from the pits or maybe missing the start here tonight. But yeah, up front, the Sebastian Marin, Charles Johnson. Again, 2 that have not really raced a lot this season, but are always ones that'll be in the thick of it here. So we'll see as they come through the tri-oval who is going to take the initial start and then who will lead that all-important lap number 1.
Absolutely. These trucks come side by side, 2 by 2 through the tri-oval into that Geico restart zone, and the green flag is in the air. These truckers are underway with 2 races to go here at Talladega. Sebastian Marin on the inside, Charles Johnson on the outside. 2 great runs with 2 big pushes, 2 great pushers behind them. We're going to have to see who comes out on top here after turn 2.
Yeah, right now, say always the inside lane is going to have the advantage through the first one, turn 1, 2, but then the momentum shift goes to that second lane. And I mean, right now that 9 and the 14 are locked onto each other. It looks like Charles is going to get a good push here down the back. Won't be enough to clear though, because you see that 5'10" Richard Sanchez, he's hooked onto the back of Sebastian, and we're going to have that all typical drag race here to see who leads lap number 1.
Absolutely. The bottom line looking to be stout here early on. Got a lot more trucks down there, but the outside lane forming, and you've got some big drivers up there, including Kevin Freeze, trying to waste no time getting up to the front past the guy he's racing in the championship, Matt Wagner.
Yeah, lap goes to Charles Johnson in the 9. He's going to clear and just clears in front of the 23 of Sebastian Marin. And that's something that we've learned and I've watched and kind of adjusted with these trucks. You don't want to make that slow little ginger move to the inside line when you're clear. You want to be forceful. You want to basically cut that wheel left, say, I'm clear, I'm making it down here, because that helps prevent Vicente Guerrero from kind of just maybe slightly leaning that way and following through. And that's why you see those big aggressive moves when they clear. They're going to jump down fast. That way there's no risk of that 14 trying to do the same.
Absolutely. Going to try to keep that lane formed as much as possible. The inside lane really tight right now, but the outside lane, Kevin going to make it 3 wide. We kind of saw this last week, Gael, that Kevin was really trying to race his way toward the front, and it got him into a lot of trouble last week. But look what he's doing there, hooking up with that 88 of Gabe Butler, probably by design. Those two know how to restrictor plate race. Kevin is our defending champion. Gabe Butler winning the season before. These guys know how to get it done, and they're just biding their time trying to make their way up to the front.
Yeah, so I think that's that risk first war. And yeah, there you go. They were waiting to get that momentum built up, and the O2 saw he's going to jump up Seth Groover, and then Kevin's right with him. You mentioned that third lane. Atlanta, it was very tight. I mean, that's probably one of the narrowest super speedway equivalent tracks that I've ever been a part of. Look at that big move up top there. I think that was Austin Call we had just talked about. I think he's jumping to the top. Oh, little bobble. Just hang on to it.
Gonna save it there. Big bobble there, but yeah, he's definitely getting aggressive early, but maybe he's going to go hang out toward the back and just kind of wait this one out a little bit.
Yeah, I saw the momentum. He tried to be the one to lead it, and I mean, like you talked about, these pushes, if they're not quite centered, it really upsets those trucks, and it was really good hands by him and those around him not to basically cause a huge one there on lap number 3 coming to 4 there. And also got to give a shout out to Karen Groover, mom of the O2 of Seth. As always, if one of the boys or both are in the race, she's usually here watching, supporting, and so always a pleasure to have you here, Karen. And say hopefully the good luck will come tonight there for Seth. I say it's been fun seeing both of them in the field. Unfortunately, no Patrick tonight, but yeah, definitely looking forward to see what Seth, and he's got a good helper right behind him in that 25.
Absolutely, that 25 of Kevin Freeze. Definitely, I've noticed him and Groover really try to hook up quite a bit, especially this season. Used to be these guys were, I don't want to say enemies, but man, back when I was racing in this truck series, they really wanted nothing more than to beat the Groover brothers because they just kind of have a rivalry there. But now with Patrick not able to make a majority of the races, they kind of work together. And by work together, you see it here. They're making that third lane work all by themselves. Now they've got Eric Laurie tagging along. And I think coming out of 4 here, they're going to have some big momentum down this front stretch.
Yeah, it was a really good move there. Like I said, kept that momentum built up. And right now you see the advantage still sits with the 9 with great pushing from Sebastian. But yeah, right now that third lane I feel like has a slight advantage over that middle lane. Is again little bobbles there through the tri-oval. We did have some separation, unfortunately, off the back of the field. So we've the 04 of Randy Lapidus. He's fallen off the back of the field, and then also 3 trucks of Paul Buchanan, Adam Kilday, and Todd Danbury have also lost the draft right now. So we have 23 trucks still in this main pack. So unfortunately, those guys are going to have to try to recover a little bit of contact.
Oh, but they're getting real close.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they touched or if it was just paper thin between the two of them. But yeah, that was really close there. And that you could definitely tell that got both of their attention.
Absolutely. And, I talked about it earlier. The guy to watch as Sebastian Marin makes a big move in front of Vicente. He wants to get up there and lead. He has nothing to do with points. He wants that W here tonight. But, going back to that 14, we talked about it. He wants to try to lead and be as aggressive as possible and get off of that cut line as you see him cut right down in front of Charles Johnson there in the 9.
Yeah, that was a really, really good move there by Vicente. Was able to push the 23 and himself clear. And you saw it, as soon as he knew he was clear and the 23 came down, he went right along with him. And that's what you want to be able to do. If you can clear both trucks, you're going to try to kind of make one swoop as one crew. And you saw Charles Johnson, though, he's not one to ride. It's like I said, he's kind of just, I think he's going for trophies tonight. So he's not going to just sit and ride on that inside lane. So he's going to jump up top. You see Gabe Butler, he's been kind of quiet. We talked about the move earlier, but then he kind of sat there for a second, and then all of a sudden here he comes. He's leading the middle, I should say, charge as he clears Everett Lane off of the front of Sebastian Marin, and now he's going to try to make that push with the help from Charles.
Yes, sir. And very interesting strategy. You know, we're focused on this front battle, 3x3. That's because everybody behind, for the most part, is right at single file. So we kind of have the tale of two races here right now. We see these guys up front battling real hard. Then you look behind and just a lot of guys riding. Do we think, Gael, I got to ask, do you think fuel is going to be a major factor in this one here tonight?
I don't think there's any way anybody can cut a pit stop out on fuel. I was hearing rough numbers, probably about 18 to 20 on the fuel range. So I do not believe, I think if everybody can go 18, I think that pretty much turns it into a 4-stop race if my bad math is accurate. I'll say with you being the teacher of us here, Maxwell, I probably have to rely on you on that one. But I believe it should be a 4-stopper for all drivers. Of course, the one option, though, is if you want to pit with the big group, maybe you put a little less fuel in, shortens your pit stop, and it helps you out to stay with the main pack. Or if you think you can pull that overcut for those that follow F1 to kind of make that really, really big, fast lap before you hit pit road and then come on in, would be the other option for strategy on that one. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what strategies these drivers play, if they just want to save that fuel to come in and put less in, or run that one extra lap, just have it in their pocket if they need it.
Absolutely. If these guys can make 20 laps apiece, then they're going to be on a 3-stopper here for sure if it stays green. But what I'm looking at is who can save that fuel, like we see these guys in the back, who can save that fuel the best and maximize that one extra lap per run. It might hurt you at the beginning, but when you go to make that last pit stop, as long as you've still got the draft, you're going to be taking 3 laps of fuel less than the rest of your competitors. That could be the big difference. Gabe Butler almost got loose off that bumper of Charles Johnson and came right down. Looked like, I don't know that he really wanted to go there. It was hard to tell, but definitely looked like the back end stepped out on him, but he saved it right there in the bottom lane. And that's what we're going to have to watch. We saw it in practice. These guys, especially up front with these big pushes, it's really jacking these trucks up, Gael.
It really is. And that's something I've learned over the course of racing with these guys off and on the season was you can't just take the momentum you have and just shove into the back of that truck. You got to either lift the throttle off a little bit or maybe roll the brake a little bit to basically grab onto the back kind of gently and then roll into it and hold on to them. So, you can't just do that slam drafting like you see the next-gen cars do in real life. It definitely does not work with these things because, like you said, it's just going to lift them up and send them around. So there's definitely an art form to it, and these guys are some of the best at it. So Maxwell, I did some quick numbers there, and so basically if you split this race up into 3 runs, like I said, it would be about 18.75. So 19 laps should pretty much guarantee you being able to make it on that 3-stop race like you talked about. So I think lap 19 is our magic number for tonight.
Absolutely. Going to be interesting. But like I said, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. If you can make it that 20th lap and save those 3 laps of fuel, that time on pit road is so precious to these drivers. And again, we can do all this math and one yellow completely throw everything we just told you out the window.
And that is exactly it. And that's where the strategy is too. Some of these guys, they want to pit early here. That way, if a yellow does come out, they can stay out, cycle back right to the front of the field. Tracks like Daytona, Talladega, you can do that. At Atlanta iRacing Superspeedway, you cannot. You will lose a lap if you short pit, so there's a lot more risk than reward there. But here comes Kevin Freese, Brian Wang. They've latched on together, and look at the speed they have, Maxwell. It's like they had another gear in those 2 trucks as they head into 3.
Absolutely. And big clear by Wang. Shocked that he's going to leave Freeze out there. Wonder if Freeze's temps were getting up. I was just getting ready to say that if you recall last season, anytime Brian Wang and Kevin Freeze got together, they would take a 3rd truck and they would gap the entire field by like 12 or 14 seconds over 4th place. So Those two are very dangerous to put together. They know how to push. They know how to make these trucks go at their optimum speed, and they're definitely competitors out here and guys that you don't want to see up front, because once you see them up front, it's hard to see anything but the rear bumper.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's what these guys do, is they're up there and they're really aggressive and really fast, and that's exactly what Charles Johnson now is doing. So he's got that rear bumper. So let's take a good look at the back. As it looks like a new sponsor in the back of that truck, Hollow Live Production. So this is where Brian's going to be hoping to get that top 3 interview, so he can tell us more about Hollow Live. It'd be fun to see what he's got, because he used to kind of just have those funny paint schemes that were silly and really playful and always amusing. But I think he's been doing some more serious ones. I think some people have realized what kind of talent is behind the wheel of that number 07 truck tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to continue to pick up some sponsors like it looks like he's got here again tonight.
You want to know who Brian Wang really reminds me of when it comes to Area 51 competition? He reminds me a lot of Larry Yingling, and some of our older fans we have probably remember that name, dominant when the Thursday night series used to be the Premier Series, when we would take cup cars around to different tracks. But Brian Wang, the way he races, how methodical he is, but how lightning fast and just always there at the end. You know, he might take more risks than Larry does, but as far as raw speed and just what he can do behind the wheel, they both really favor each other in competition. And, you know, it shows how well he does drive, that he can run with a team like Team Bootknocker and be able to stay with them and be able to make all the different runs and gains that he does with them. So definitely a big talent behind the wheel, and hopefully Brian's able to keep that talent going and do some really cool things with that, and with the new sponsor and everything he's got. But man, to do that, he's really got a lot of hungry dogs he's got to hold off out here. Gabe Butler's made his way to second, and Kevin Freeze, we know he's not content riding 5th or 6th. You know he wants to get back up there too.
Yeah, and I was about to mention the two partners that were working really well in the second lane, though, was that 55 and the 09. But as soon as I was about to say it, they kind of split up here, and that's really, I think everybody's starting to think about pit stops here, though, Maxwell, because a lot of trucks are starting to find their way to the bottom. You can see the outside lane is really starting to thin out. You see Eric Glory, he squeezes in right in front of Rick Sanchez. Right now, Kevin Freeze is probably waiting for someone to open the door, and there it was. You just saw that Eric Laurie, same thing, give some space for Kevin. He's going to slip on in here, but now it's the trucks that were saving fuel. They said, you know what? Okay, everybody backed off. Now it's our time to go. That is TW Motorsports. Todd Siebels is ready to go. The 171 Robert Rock, Dean Wilkinson. I don't know if he's going to go. I think he might be trying to get back, and yeah, he's going to try to save now. But watch for Todd Siebels, Robert Rock. This is kind of the way I like to race it, Maxwell. I save, and then once everybody else starts to file up and be on the inside line, then I lock on to the top or second lane and just try to get my track position. Then kind of take your medicine early and then get aggressive late is kind of the way I like to approach it.
Absolutely, because if you try to get in line back there,
pit stops.
Here they all come. It looks like the majority of the field making their way down pit road, and this is going to be a big cluster. Sebastian Marion locking them up big time. But 3 and 4 wide on the pit road. Guile, this is one of the biggest groups of green flag stops I think I've seen this season.
I think it's all but 3 trucks, and that's going to be TW Motorsports right here. Those 3 are going to continue. And this is that overcut we talked about. They'll be able to be a lot more aggressive on the pit road entry. And it looks like everybody else, though, so far, knock on wood, has done a good job getting onto pit road. So we'll see now. Again, now it's a strategy. Do you do fuel only? Do you take lefts? Do you take rights? You definitely don't want to take 2 or 4, I should say. And it looks like Brian's going to win that race out of pit road. Now everybody's got to try to get settled in here, and they got to be careful not to go over that yellow line on the pit exit, because I believe that is even that inner yellow line is kind of an out of bounds. So I'm a little nervous about the 24 Everett lane. May have drifted a little too wide, but let's jump back here, because here come the TW drivers there, Robert Rock, Todd Siebels, and Dean Wilkinson. And again, look how much calmer it is for those 3 trucks here, Maxwell. That's also the perks of being able to go that one extra lap.
Yes, but at the same time, only 3 trucks like that, especially if they were separated, their lap time had to have been incredibly slow. Where these other guys I'm watching, they're already hooked up, 5 in a line, just trucking right along. But my big thing is it alarming that we saw the groups pit this early? I really expected someone to at least push lap 19.
Yeah, so I mean, this says it's a 4-stop race then based on that. These guys coming in at 16 and 17. So you mentioned the pit stops for the extra lap, and we'll see, because, yeah, here they come. they're coming out of pit road now, building up speed, and here comes that pack. And they're going to gain some pretty good speed here. I obviously not going to hold the lead because that's going to go right to Brian Wang. But they might have just enough chance to tag onto the back of who is that last truck there, Matt Wagner. Maybe have a chance to tag onto the back of him. But yeah, so we'll see. The field's starting to spread out a little bit, but I think that the accordion is going to start to close once more. And then also looking to see for pit road miscues. Oh, Charles Johnson down in the apron here.
Absolutely. Got a little loose there, and that's going to kind of jack up this front line, make them go side by side. Everett and Kevin are going to jump up there, and good to see that Everett didn't get that penalty, that he still gets to stay in this lead pack. But these guys running side by side has got to be slowing them down a little bit, and it's letting the top 3 trucks pull away. And, man, that's not a group of 3 you want to see try to pull away. Brian Wang, Gabe Butler, and Sebastian Marin. Man, those 3 get away from you, it's going to be lights out, game over tonight. So it's good to see this pack recovered and was able to suck back up.
Yeah, so what I was watching, though, too, was with that little bobble, that could have been actually a perfect break for this pack right here to try to gain back on them. And I'm watching the intervals, and it's starting to click the right way now with, I believe it's Richard Sanchez leading that outside line. However, right now they're kind of 2 by 2, and like you said, they need to get a little bit more organized. All these trucks need to get really locked on together. So I'll be watching lap times. Actually, you know what we can do here, Maxwell, is we can actually, instead of talking about lap times, we can show this last lap time, and we'll see what
we
our
gotta
top
love
10.
the data, man.
I said we got to plug in the data here. So we'll see what Brian Wang here runs in that '07 truck as he crosses the line. It was a 51.16. And then you look a little further back. Again, the first truck was Richard Sanchez in the 510, a 50.55. So actually only about a tenth for him faster than Everett Lane, but over half a second quicker, though, than Brian Wang. So I think the timing and scoring is going the right way, and I think they saw that because now look at the second lane. They've kind of started to try to push, too, and so I think they're trying to pick up that pace, but I think it's too late. I think these trucks here, from Richard Sanchez back all the way to Todd Siebels, I think they're just going to start to sniff that draft off of Matt Wagner, and that's going to bring them right back into the fray here. So we're going to have a 17 truck main pack here after that first round of pit stops.
Absolutely. That just goes to show that there are some really strong trucks in that second pack. Not that we don't have strong trucks in the first one, but just the organization and the way they went about catching up. I mean, we've seen these races where the top 3 or 4 just literally pull away, and we have like 10 different miniature packs. But it's nice to see tonight with the draft model we currently have that these guys can not only mow the lead pack down, but they can catch up and be able to become one pack again.
Yeah, exactly right. And that last lap, Dean Wilkinson ran the fastest lap of a race, a 49.97. I think the only truck to go under the 50-second bracket. So right now, it doesn't give any bonus points, but I guess you could say bragging rights. So Dean Wilkinson so far has run the fastest lap of the race. Starting to catch some lap traffic here. See those 2 trucks. Oh, he's got to be careful. Oh, that's
they're going to try to pull
move
in front of the leaders here. That's going to cause major mayhem here. Big damage to the 510 too. If you look at his nose, it's kind of caved in a little bit. That was not a good move, Kyle. Not a good move to make.
No, unfortunately, that was not. I'm trying to check. I say never want to call anybody out, but you're trying to see which truck that was that just got lapped. Looks like the 15 of Todd Danbury, and I'm not sure if that was miscommunication or what happened there, because I saw the other truck with him. I think it was, I believe it was Paul Buchanan. He went up and was able to get out of the way nicely. But yeah, that was a very, very close call. Luckily, again, Talladega being as wide as it is, able to kind of save that a little bit. But yeah, I think that 15 maybe even now having some connection issues potentially. So maybe gone from bad to worse there. But yeah, that was a scary spot right there. So hopefully nobody got too hurt out of that one, Maxwell. I know you were able to kind of look and get some extra insight and info on the incident point side of things, because that's an important thing too, is if you can run incident free, that's 3 bonus points in your pocket. But yeah, that was some very, very close calls right there. But right now, as it runs, that 44 Paul Buchanan, he's in this pack, and that's great news for him. He's the first truck 1 down, and he has 0 pressure around him. Unfortunately, during the pit stop cycle, I saw an extra pit stop being made by Seth Groover, and he now sits 26th, also 1 down. So I'm not sure, maybe it was a pit penalty or something like that, maybe a stop and hold, but unfortunately, Seth's going to need a yellow to have a chance here tonight.
The way they all charged into pit road, it could have easily been a speeding on entry. I saw a lot of guys locking up during that.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, you saw how big of a pack that was as well. I mean, that was a really, really big cluster of trucks there. I also got a shout out. Jimmy Crow is popped into the chat. So, Jimmy, hope you're doing well. Sorry we don't see you on track tonight, man. Always love having you in the field with us this evening. But yeah, hopefully feel free to come back anytime. Always love to race with you. Jimmy's one of those guys. He puts on, like I said, this whole crowd. I mean, everybody knows each other from all these different leagues, and Jimmy, one of those as well, no exception. Just that kind of shows the great group of guys. And not able to race tonight, but caution actually is out here trying to see.
Big Rick right in front of the leaders.
Oh, down on the apron. I think it was the 41. Yeah, Adam Kilday. And I think what happened there was probably some aggressive pushing to try to stay on the lead lap. We'll go back and we'll take a look at it, but I think everybody got away with that one, but some very close call on that one. And I believe we'll see. Obviously, I'll have to wait and see, but I think the 44 should get his lap back. So let's go ahead and let's hunt this back down here, Maxwell, and see. But I believe it's going to be right.
It's going to look like a push going wrong, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to back it up a little bit further here. And yeah, it's exactly what it was. It's just a push grind. You see the 41 truck of Adam Kilday. So we'll pick it back up here. We'll take a look. And you can see he was staggered off to the right. He kind of moves left. And yeah, right there, as he was moving left, he made the contact with the 41. And then at that point, Adam's just pretty much along for the ride. And then I think you'll see the momentum shift. Oh, yeah, and that's never going to help. As catches the 04, catches the 80. Front. Rudy Doden, all three of these trucks, unfortunately, just not what they needed. And like I said, big hit. And like you said, right in front of the leaders, because you'll see, we'll try to see if we can get a good look off the back here. But in not too far distant future, you're going to see these leaders come across the path of these trucks here. And there they are, just the very, very top of the screen. So it looks like Rudy was able to, oh yeah, he's got motor damage, so he's still hurting as well. But I'm going to focus real quick on the 44 because we want to see, does he get through unscathed? And he looks like he does. So I think that safely should tell us that that 44 will be the wave around truck. And so I think, as we'll say, the leaders are hitting pit road now. The 44, I believe we should see him stay on track and swing around, but he's actually hitting pit road here. So that's either maybe a mistake by him, or we'll have to wait and see. But field's all hitting pit road right now. Double checking on Seth Groover, he's staying out. Also the 41, but that truck was involved in the incident, so it can't be him who got the wave around.
Absolutely. And one thing too, with this being a super speedway, they may have the setting set for the quick yellows where we're not under yellow flag as much. So it may
look at this, Seth Groover.
Oh, Seth's going to get in
something
here.
Must have happened with Paul Buchanan, as he was, I thought, in the lucky dog spot, but maybe he had some contact I didn't see, got into the back of a truck. Because the thing is, it doesn't take much if you bump a truck, if you bump the wall, touch the grass, basically you lose that lucky dog privilege. So unfortunately for Paul, there may have been something, he was in the right position, but he may have had something happen that cost him. So unfortunately for him, that's going to cost him that lucky dog. But say it's a big, big break, obviously, for that 02 truck of Seth Groover. We talked about he needed a break. He just got one. And then you mentioned the damage as well. Matt Wagner, he was on pit road for about 24 seconds. And then Rick Sanchez as well. You mentioned his nose on the front of that truck. He was on pit road for about 29 seconds. Gary Winters as well, about 28 seconds on pit road. So a lot of these trucks did have that damage that they needed to kind of get taken care of. And I'm also looking at the pit stop time here, Maxwell. Looks like about 15, 16 second stop. So I'm saying these trucks probably took advantage here and went ahead and took 4 tires and fuel. That way they can then not have to do that under green.
Absolutely. And, we talked about it earlier. The fuel strategy was going to be real tight unless a caution came out. Then it was going to change everything. So everybody with takers on pit road there, kind of the smart decision to make. Some of these guys that might stop, we might see some stop with the 1 to go. That's going to be 2 laps more of fuel. I think that would be a strategy to play here. Anything you can do to make it where your last stop is only 1 can of fuel, you're going to do it. And Team Bootknocker guys might be looking here. They might really try to pull this. A lot of guys are going to pull the 1 to go stopper here. Man, that makes you feel smart when you see them all come in.
Yeah, and I'm trying to run the numbers, and from what I'm seeing, even with these drivers, I think you're right. I think it's going to be about, if they can go, we talked about that 16, 17 laps on fuel. I think 17 is probably the magic number to be able to make it on 2 more stops to the end. because we're going to restart this thing with just around 40, I think 47 or so laps to go roughly. You see just a quick splash of fuel for Sebastian. Now, of course, the other thing that happens when you top off Maxwell on the 1 to go, you line up single file on the inside line. So we're going to see a big line of trucks here on the inside and just a few double files. So we're going to see from Charles Johnson, our leader, back to Gary Winters. And then looks like from him on back, we're going to go ahead and have to restart single file. And they're also going to restart, I believe, possibly behind the lap trucks as well, which right now, let's say, I think the Lucky Dog battles are going to be between the 04, the 80, the 44, and the 41. As it looks like the 15, we did mention, has retired, and I think the 00 as well did not grid and is not in the race. So right now, the Lucky Dog battle here, Maxwell, it's going to be this truck right here. Randy Lapidus in the 04 was in that incident, as was the 80 of Rudy Doden. Paul Buchanan, also, like I said, we thought he was going to be the Lucky Dog truck, and then Adam Kildane, the 41. So those are the guys going for that Lucky Dog battle. And honestly, yeah, 3 of the 4 of them were actually involved in that last incident, as well, as crazy as it is. So we'll see. But like I said, I think the big gainer here is right there, that 02 M&M's truck of Seth Gruber getting back on the lead lap here.
And I'll tell you one thing, that 02 Seth Gruber, he's just going to sit in the back and ride and chill. Nah, who am I kidding? We know that Seth Gruber, he's going to be right up there within 2 or 3 laps, and he's going to be trying to take that lead and dominate this thing. Seth doesn't want to hang out back there. I've raced with him multiple times, broadcasting these few seasons I have. I've seen it over and over and over. You learn these drivers. And as a race car driver, myself on the sim, you got to learn who you're around and learn their aggression level. And that 02, I can tell you, if he's not in the top 5 3 laps into this, he's doing something out of character, because I fully expect to see him up there as the pace truck dives into pit road.
Yep, it's going to hand it over to Charles Johnson, Josh Last in front row, the 9 and the 09. Bud Steele plus 18 spots from his qualifying position, now in 3rd. Jim Brooks plus 14 in 4th. As the green flag is down and away, these trucks can build up speed as they head back into turn number 1, starting lap number 28 of 75. Still lots of racing to go. And it's a really good start, maybe even too good of a start for Charles Johnson. But he's going to go up high here, surprisingly, and pick up that 09. He wants to get that push right off the bat, and that's going to stack up that outside line, and that's going to give Bud Steele here a really good chance here to try to see if he can get that lap in that 10 truck.
Absolutely. Some of these guys, this could be huge if they're trying to chase that top 12 in the point standings just to get a lap led, that extra point. Have we not seen people miss playoffs by 1 or 2 points before, Guile?
Oh, yes. Many times.
So leading that 1 lap could be the difference tonight in being able to make it after next week or not. So we've got to remember, this is a race, and we're looking for race winners and great action on track, but we're also watching a major points battle for that top 12. I mean, your top 3, I think, are pretty well safe-ish after tonight. If they have that points lead, I'm going to call them safe. But, man, as you've got the points pulled up, the rest of those kind of third on back. I mean, 160 to 100. Let's see, 12th is 134, 160. Yeah, there's enough cars out here that, third place could go outside the top 12 tonight.
Yeah, I really couldn't. I don't think it's showing. I was trying to see if it would actually show it as the current points, but I don't think it was working the way I was hoping to, unfortunately, where kind of the as they're running, if you will. But yeah, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. However,
you have to look into that, because we got to get that cool feature running.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun features with SDK. Then it's just finding time between real life and broadcasting and being a husband
never busy,
and all
is
that. No, never busy. But these two right here, though, these are 2 trucks that work very, very well together here. Josh Lass and Matt Wagner. I've talked to Josh before. I've raced with Josh before. Really, really nice guy. And it's no secret as well, that 11 truck. He's pretty much said the one thing that he has not checked off his box, and that's pretty much at the top of his list, is to win an Area 51 Super Speedway Series. Doesn't care if it's the trucks, the next gens, whatever it may be. He just wants a Super Speedway win. And Josh has said, he said, I want to push Matt to a win. That's basically where Josh said it. Pretty much a win for Matt would be a win for him. So, like I said, Matt's been trying. He's been put himself in so many good chances to have that win. Just hasn't panned out for him. He's had a couple opportunities where I was trying to help him out and I just wasn't able to do so. So I say I try not to be biased, but I would definitely be happy to see him get one of these. But the problem is it's such stout competition in this field. Like I say, with that, especially that truck coming up behind Kevin Freeze, Sebastian Marin, like I said, probably one of the toughest ringers that's kind of showed up tonight here. So it's yeah, you're gonna have to earn it for sure in these things. But right now, Charles Johnson, Buzz Steele, though, these guys work very, very well together. And there goes Kevin Freeze. He's looking at that third lane. And yep, I was gonna say I don't expect we would see Sebastian ditch him, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna hop up top and get that push going up third lane.
Oh, you want to look at the truck behind Sebastian?
Is it very colorful and candy-like?
It is very colorful and very candy-like. What did we say? Seth Groover was not going to stay in the back. Those three up top are a powerhouse group right now, and it's only getting added to with two great restrictor plate racers with Richard Sanchez and Everett Lane. Those guys are fantastic at this, and Kevin's going to clear, and he's going to get to the front, and now we've got those three controlling the lanes, and it's a little weird right now. 0-2 trying to follow the 23, finally finds a spot, but just like that, we went from the front being nice and calm to 3x3.
Yeah, no, they wasted no time to get right back at it, and you're right there. There's a little bit of hesitation, indecision. I think the 11 of Matt Wagner wanted to stay in the middle lane, but Seth Groover was kind of moving towards the middle, and I think Matt kind of chose the patience is better part of valor there, and kind of gave him, if you will, that spotlight. Say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna drop down, let you in here, because otherwise we're probably gonna wreck. And again,
I think Matt Wagner has patience.
I think when he needs it, he does. I say he probably wasn't very happy about it, but he does it when he needs to. But probably in the end, I say if we had him keyed up, yeah, he probably was not very happy about that situation. As we continue to shuffle around, as Richard Sanchez now jumps from the top to the middle in front of the O2, as Sebastian Marin jumps to the inside.
And I'll tell you, some of these truckers, if you watch these races, Gael, some guys are really good at leading a lane. I think Sebastian Marin does such a good job leading a line and keeping them smooth and consistent. Any line that he leads, it's really hard to try to get around that. But then you've also got people like the 09 and the 02 that are just such great pushers. You may not see them leading a lot, but they're shoving everybody out there to the lead. And we see that with the 510 right now, getting a big push from Seth Groover. And I mean, just locked onto him there, just giving great pushes. And those different characteristics really help play these races out. And when you see those guys kind of swap roles, that's when you see us really get dicey, and 3 and 4 wide is when those guys really just kind of get out of their comfort zone. Like Kevin Freeze, he is documented multiple times. He loves to be the pusher. He might sneak out on the last lap, but really until then, he's always tucked up behind somebody. And right now he's with great company there with Sebastian.
And that's the thing, too, is that he can do that. I was saying, actually, let's hop on board. We'll watch from the roll bar here of Kevin Freeze. Wrong truck. There we are. And you're exactly right. He can basically stay right tucked up on Sebastian or whoever he's following and pretty much stay locked. Almost, it feels like he's like locked onto that truck in front of him. But while he's doing that, he's still able to keep his temperatures in check. Because that's something we haven't mentioned before. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it in the iRacing on the replay side of things here with what we see. But you'll see there's an oil, a water temperature gauge, and if those start to flash red, that means that truck is getting hot, and you better cool it off, because otherwise that motor is going to pop in front of the field. And we've seen that before, Maxwell, where that has happened occasionally. But for Kevin, he's able to be aggressive, be the pusher, and be able to lock on really well, but still do just enough to keep that temperature in where he needs it to be to kind of just not put himself at risk. So I think that's a very, very important skill to have, to be able to be as good of a pusher as you are, but still keep those temperatures to be able to kind of do it for a long amount of time.
Absolutely, and there's no team out there that does that better than Team Bootknocker. And I know we say their name all the time. We know that it probably gets repetitive and redundant, and you might even think we're biased. We're not, but those guys have been known for multiple, I mean, I'm talking probably 6, 7, 8 seasons. They have been known to be some of the best plate racers, not only in the league, but really on iRacing in general. So these guys know how to get it done. I've watched them take strategies where I thought, man, they finally screwed up. They're finally not going to get one. And then they come back and sweep the top 3 podium finishes. So definitely got a lot of that. But one guy that really, really, really wants to upset all that is the guy I've been calling all season long. Yep, you done paying to it. That 14 of Vicente Guerrero got 2 of those Team Bootknockers behind him, and he is trying to make his way up to the front point. But look at Seth. Seth is not happy not being up front. Even though he was sixth, he wants the lead. He pulls in front of Vicente Guerrero to try to get a big push. And those two, and there's going to be a massive crash with them. Huge wreck.
Yeah, the 02, the 090, the 41 as well, who's at the 74. I saw, unfortunately, the 14 of Vicente Guerrero also involved in there. It looks like Eric Laurie's involved. This is probably going to be one of those ones where it's going to be easier to tell you who was not in it than versus who was in it, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, we were zoomed in real close before we saw it all happen, so we'll have to back it down here and take a better look. But it was massive.
It was a push gone wrong, and you kind of see where it started right there.
Right in the middle and the very front. So yeah, so I say we'll focus obviously initially on Everett Lane, and yeah, it's just like I said, it's just a push gone wrong here. They're in the tri-oval, and what's going to happen is I think he pushes when they're just a little bit off centered, and or maybe just has a little bit of wheel into it, and then you see just kisses the side of Kevin Freese's truck, and then unfortunately just nowhere for them to go. Gabe Butler gets a piece. There's the 14. He goes up and over almost. Actually he does completely go up and over there. Lands I think back on his wheels though. But you see Gabe's involved. Looks like Jim Brooks may have got a slight piece of that as well. The 04, the 46. Again, like I said, it's probably going to be one of those who wasn't involved in this one, unfortunately, because we've got a big pile up here in the front stretch. I'm seeing that blue and black, the number 18 truck. I think it's the 46 we've determined. I'm trying to find him through my timing and scoring here. No, it's not David Overstreet. Who was that again? So I think he did a really good job of avoiding this wreck here. And Austin Call, that's who it was. Let's go back one more time here. I'm going to pull up from Austin Call's point of view here because we're going to watch this on boards. I think Austin may have really nailed this wreck avoidance. Let's listen in.
Maybe I've taught him well over in SCL, Guile. Let's see what he does. Just goes way down here to the bottom, sees those guys wrecking down, and just turns right up. I mean, the holes were there. I mean, he goes down into that big runoff area to keep all that accident above him, but when they started really hooking each other and swinging down, he luckily had the room to turn up, and that's going to get him a lot of spots gained. And Austin's a young driver. He's definitely an aggressive one, but he just wants to be successful. He wants to be seen. He wants to be known as a good racer that everybody wants to race with, and he's trying to get his feet wet over here in Area 51. He's heard me and Todd Merkel talk about it too much, and it got him pumped up to want to come over here with these guys, Kyle.
Well, I mean, when you make avoidances like that, I mean, that's definitely a good place to be. So really good job. And yeah, unfortunately, Karen, yeah, that was a tough one for a lot of them. The question mark now, though, is going to be kind of who still has the faster pairs left. You see it's longer stuff for Sebastian. I think, again, 4 tires and fuel here for Sebastian. Looks like either fuel only or 2 for Bud Steele, Everett Lane. Looks like Matt Wagner got through, I believe, unscathed, unless he took a faster pair. And that's going to be the question mark now. I feel like Maxwell is kind of who's got faster pairs, who doesn't. You see Kevin Freese, he does have some right side damage, so he's going to get that fixed manually. He's already sitting on pit road for about 40 seconds. Now he's down and away, so not too bad for Kevin here. Also looking at Adam Kilday on pit road, lengthy stop for him thus far. And we saw some trucks that we know are going to need to have their faster pairs. Jim Brooks, I saw the motor was popped on that one. I think Vicente had to take a tow, so he, I believe, is right now trapped a lap down. And possibly Richard Sanchez as well, to keep an eye on some of these guys. But yeah, I'm looking at other trucks. So I haven't really talked about Bob Fitzgerald too much. Same thing, some damage repairs going to his truck, the 04 truck. And then looking to see, I believe... I think it might be Paul Buchanan possibly got the back on the wave around, back on the lead lap. I'll have to wait for timing and scoring to update there, Maxwell. But so a number of trucks with lengthy pit stops, some with quick ones. Jim Brooks, it looks like Jim had to tow. I don't think that truck made it back, so I think he had to take a tow as well, because obviously that thing's not going to be fast repairable. So I think Jim probably trapped a lap down as well. But yeah, up front though, Bud Steele is going to be back in the mix here, and we'll wait for that timing and scoring to update over on your left-hand side. And yeah, indeed, the 44 though, this time Paul Buchanan got the break he finally was looking for. Maxwell back on the lead lap here, and it's a good time too, because I think we're going to restart this thing with about 35 laps to go, and that is going to be a Kevin Freese favorite. That's going to be pretty tight on field to make it on one more stop.
Absolutely. I was just getting ready to talk about that. I believe this is a one-stopper from here. I don't know that it's per se going to be tight. I think these guys can do it, but you're going to have to execute pit road. And the problem is, if we stay green till pit stops, man, you're really going to have about every driver in the field hitting pit road at the exact same time. And we saw earlier we had a whole lot of them hit, and they did okay. But, man, when you get to the end of the race like this and things are on the line, people try to make up spots on that entry, it could be really bad really quick, and your night could get ended right there coming onto pit road. So definitely going to have to watch for that. But we've definitely shook up our top 10 here, and one driver I'm watching in particular is really that 11 of Matt Wagner. You've talked about it and documented. He is running this season with a goal and a mission, and he's not gotten the W yet, but he's been right on the heels of Gabe Butler for that regular points championship here. Not championship, but you know what I mean, winning the regular season, trying to do that, and he lost a little bit of points last week, but if he can finish a few spots ahead of Gabe this week, could see that swing around a little bit there. Just going to have to wait and see, but looking for that breakout there from Wagner, looking for him to get that W this season, and he's been so close. Even last week, you talked about it at the start of the broadcast, just not had that happen yet, and kind of the patience wearing thin on trying to get one. He finished second last week. Second place. One spot short. Can he get it done here tonight? If he's going to have to beat a seasoned veteran of Bud Steele and a rookie up front here in Austin Call.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think this is going to be still a fuel mileage one here, because, like I say, if they want to make it a one more stop, Maxwell, they're going to have to basically make one. I think they need to do at least 18 laps on one fuel run, 17 laps on another fuel run. So this is going to be a little bit nip and tuck, I think, on that fuel mileage if it goes green. So this might be one of those races where it's going to be who doesn't want to lead versus who wants to lead and control this race. So this could be interesting where maybe we see the boot knockers. They've been trying to control this race. I think now they might back it down a little bit. So you got to be careful because, like I say, they're a little sneaky at times on strategies. So we'll wait and see here as they're going to get back into that restart zone. We're going to restart this thing with 35 to go.
Absolutely. Coming to the trial, Bud Steele brings them into that restart zone. Austin Call gets right to the bumper, and as the green flag comes out and gets a great launch, and Sebastian Marion going to change lanes there right at the start-finish line. I don't know if there's a rule to stay your lane, but he was pushing that pretty close of switching lanes before the start-finish line. And Matt Wagner, man, I don't know. You think these guys want to get him up there and get him a win, but at the same time, they've got their own races to run. He's left high and dry by himself.
Yeah, as I say, he's going to be feeling like, man, I just got hung out to dry. But there's Josh Last, and as like I said, that's kind of Josh has said. He wants to try to help Matt win the race. But I think right now, Matt's best chance to win the race is to back it down. Don't go for it all right now. Save fuel. Because at this point, we don't know what the fuel mileage is going to be. But we talked about fuel mileage. There's no fuel saving right now between those 23 and the 25. They are pretty much hammered down here as they're going to take that top spot from the 10 of Bud Steele. But I don't think this is a bad thing. I think you let them go set that pace. If you can back your truck down and make a fuel number, I go with it. I want to be, if I'm top 3, top 5, I love where I'm at right here. Let them do the work. You just lift and save fuel and see what you can do once it comes pit stop time. Because like I said, I think at this rate, I don't think Kevin and Sebastian have the fuel to make it. And maybe that's what they're trying to do, Max. So, that's another theory. Are they just trying to run the field out of fuel so that way nobody can make it on one more stop?
Maybe so, but I'd be naive to think that Kevin Freeze, with all of his technology and things behind the wheel that he has at his disposal, that he doesn't know his fuel number and know if he's good or not. We watched Team Bootknocker ride in the very back of the pack, but for those guys to stay out. Oh, and Wagner is around and big barrel roll in contact. He is all around. This is not good. And Vicente, in yet another incident, this can't be good for that truck.
Too. 2 times they get into each other. Yeah, so Vicente out of the fast repairs. He's going to have to get that repaired manually. You see Matt waiting for the track to clear before he can get going. And it might be one of those ones, again, just maybe a push gone wrong. But what that does do is now the fuel mileage out of the question. It's a one stop or no question here.
And you may think that may have been what they were looking at there.
So let's go take a look and see how all of this came to be. So I'm trying to see if I can find exactly where it came about. So I see a bunch of trucks showing that they went off track as well. So it's got to be somewhere right around here. And we're going to focus on that 11 of Matt Wagner because, like you said, he went for a ride here. So we'll pick it up here as we come into the tri-oval. And this will probably give us a pretty good look at it. As you can see, a little bit off center.
Talked about it all night long.
Yep, there it was.
The push is gone wrong. And how many times did I say pre-race that the leaders in practice were getting hooked? Right there, he was leading that line and just one wrong push. And big air. Look at the barrel roll he's going to take. Side over side, end over end. And trucks scattering everywhere through this field.
Yeah, I see Eric Laurie went for a slide there as well. Gabe Butler locking him down. He might got through that one. We're about to take a look from Gabe. Ooh, actually, look at that 0-2 there of Seth Groover as well. He had a really good avoidance there. I believe getting through that as well. So, yeah, we have a
Wayne
couple.
had a big hit back there, and I think Gabe was a part of it.
And look at Gabe. But he's on the brakes here. I think he comes to a stop to avoid this. So, I think you're right. I think we go back. Let's focus on Gabe Butler here. So, we had the on board, I should say, with Austin Call. Let's hop on board with Gabe Butler here, and let's watch that. We'll watch that speed.
Absolutely. You see, he's just riding in line, trying to save that fuel, not going too hard. And then the big incident's going to happen right here in front of him, not really expecting it at this point in the run. And as he just comes down, he's on the brakes, in the grass, on the brakes, on the brakes, on the brakes. Oh, he does avoid it. Someone else clobbered Brian Wang. Wow. This is why he's a champion.
No, this is some really, really good wreck avoidance. I think it was also a really good avoidance as well. We mentioned from the 0-2. I think just snuck by that as well. But you're right, though. I mean, that was some really, really good driving by Gabe. We'll jump back live because pretty much everybody here hit pit road, so no strategies there. I believe the 510 of Richard Sanchez, he gets back on the lead lap with that. Getting back on the lead lap with that the wave around there because he, again, had to take a tow as well. And then Vicente was 2 laps down prior to this wreck. And again, more damage needing to be fixed. That poor truck. That thing is not having a good night. So you talk about bubbles. That's could be
12th in points right there with Vicente.
And you know what we're going to do here? We were talking about fuel mileage. We're going to grab old Kevin Freeze here. Because I wanted to ask him. I mean, now we know it's a no-brainer. They can make it on fuel. But I want to pull up this number 25 truck of Kevin Freeze. And Kevin, that previous restart, it was going to be tight on fuel, your favorite type of racing.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
So I had two. Initially, I was thinking, okay, they'll probably just back down and save because that first run was definitely low on the lap count that we expected for fuel. But then we saw you and Vicente jump to the front, or sorry, you and Sebastian, jump to the front and looked like you guys were kind of pushing pretty hard there. Was maybe the goal there to try to run everybody out of fuel, or did you feel like you were going to be able to still one stop it no matter what?
Oh, we had no shot to one stop it, so that's why we were going. We were planning to just split it, probably 2 6-gallon stops, but that didn't happen. I mean, there were 3 of us left up front, so now it's straight up one stop. You shouldn't have to save anything. And we were just trying to push it, and the top lane wasn't going. The bottom had a decent start, but the checkups tonight on the bottom have been pretty bad. Even as the pushing car, you can feel it. Once you let off the throttle, it feels like it just pulls you back.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. I'd say, like I said, it's been pretty wild, obviously, too. You've obviously got a slight little ding on the side of your door. It doesn't look too bad, just a little scuff on it, but
it's beautiful.
It just knocked the shine off a little bit, I think. So unfortunately, the buffer is gonna have to do a little bit of work on that door after tonight's race. But all right, we'll let you get back to it, and good luck the rest of the way, sir.
All right, thank you guys. Enjoy the ending here.
So that was I wouldn't say that was the plan, but kind of actually seems like that may have been exactly it. Maxwell was, hey, there's no way we can make it. Let's just push. And I think, like I said, it may have not been part of their thought process, but I think maybe them being aggressive, like I said, that would maybe get everybody else to have to push that little extra and then run themselves out of fuel as well. So, very, very intriguing to see. We had a few drivers top off there, but definitely no strategy now here, Maxwell. Everybody's going to make it to the end on one stop. Green, white checkers would be the question mark, but basically if they run 15-15, they're good to the finish now.
Absolutely. The only thing about the people that did the stop with 1 to go that we might not be thinking about, less fuel to take on the final stop. They're preparing their trucks for the final pit stop of the evening, where they're not going to be able to take just 1 can of fuel, but they might save about a second and a half, and hey, that could pick you up 5, 6 positions if we're being honest.
That's very, very important. And saying the first of the trucks that did that, Todd Siebels. And this has been a Todd Siebels race. I feel like he's kind of just been around, hanging out, not getting involved in any craziness. Now it's about time for that pay window open. Here comes that 45 truck creeping in towards the top 10 now. So this is what what we expect to see out of him, I feel like.
Absolutely. Todd Siebel's going to run up front. And one other call out I want to give, Paul in the 44 there was a lap down. Look where he's at. 5th on this restart. Never say never in these races. Pace truck is in. These drivers ready to go, getting in position. And here they come into the Geico restart zone, kind of getting out of line. We got the 24 down there under the yellow. Kind of a weird restart here, but the green is out. Sebastian and Bud still going to have a really even start. And I don't know which lane's going to do better because the 2 pushers behind are some of the best in the business.
They really are. And I think what happened there was I think that 24 was getting a lot of damage repaired to that truck and was just trying to catch back up and get his track position because he didn't top off on the 1 to go. He just had to pretty much drive around a full lap before that restart happened. So, so we're going to have some comers and goers here because that 24 I don't think is going to hold the draft. And that's why you see he's up against the wall. Said, yeah, you guys go on right by me. I think it's the same for the 74 Robert Jordan. That truck not doing too well either. So they got to be careful, though, because that could really split that field up because I'm looking at the gap here between the 510 and the trucks in front. It was about a second, so I think they're going to be okay. Expect to see that 08 here of Bob Fitzgerald probably get some big pushes, but actually they're going to just try to jump around him here. But yeah, so they're going to have to hustle up here, but they've got a good group of trucks behind. You see Gabe is right there. You see Brian Wang is there. So definitely not at a lack of talent in these trucks right here. But they're going to have to get it kind of organized right now because that gap hasn't really shrunk yet. And you can see there's the good view of that distance that we've got going on right now.
Absolutely. And I want to point out one thing. Our most destroyed wrecked truck, the last yellow, is running and battling for 4th currently. Matt Wagner goes end over end, barrel rolling multiple times, and here he is. Him and Austin Call both with some major damage in that last wreck, and it's like nothing happened. It's like we hit the rewind button. Here they are, still battling up front for this race win. So kudos to those guys. They've used their fast repairs now. They really need to be careful, but as long as nobody hooks them, I mean, the safest place kind of to be is up front. I don't know. I used to think the safest place was always up front until these trucks got to the point where you just bump wrong and you hook somebody. Sometimes when you're in that aggressive zone, you can get hooked, but definitely making some leeway. And that inside line kind of just bobbled there, Gael. Did you notice that? Really got loose. Looked like Sebastian Marion had a lot of air packed on him and just got really loose and kind of shook up that bottom lane, giving Matt and Seth a little bit of an advantage here.
Yeah, that's the thing I think is funny too. Like I said, you have that one mulligan basically. You got that one fast repair. That way, I say, unfortunately, it doesn't always work to perfection because again, if you have to take a tow, lose a lap or two, you might be out of the running. But again, you never say never. Like you said, that 44 truck of Paul Buchanan, he is right there in the mix as well. So. You never know when or if or when it's going to be your time or not. So, like I said, Matt, he unfortunately was in the wrong spot at the wrong time there. Nothing intentional. Like I said, just a push gone wrong. We've seen that at least twice now tonight. As you see, they're actually catching really quickly on Eric Laurie. Eric, unfortunately, looks like some pretty heavy damage on that truck as well. Just going to try to tough it out, get to the finish. But, but as like you said, though, you think like, okay, I had to take a fast repair. Let's play it safe. Nope. They're going back out of the 02. He's, I think, had to use his fast repair, if I recall correctly. Obviously, we know the 11 had to use his, and they're just right back up front dicing out because that's what they know to do. They just want to be aggressive. They want to go for this win. And like I said, they want to try to make sure, and some of these guys want to make sure they're in that championship hunt here after next week's race at iRacing Superspeedway.
Absolutely. We haven't talked about that much, but with the points as tight as they were, some of these big, massive crashes, I can't wait to see going into next week, into the last race of the regular season, how much this Talladega event. We would have thought Atlanta would have done it. maybe iRacing Superspeedway, but Talladega being the true wild card of this championship battle. And, as many laps as these guys have run around here, I believe last season, I think they ran around here almost 8 times out of the 12 races. But, man, it's funny how they run here so often, yet this is still such a big wild card when it comes to the championship.
Yeah, honestly, I really like the way the schedule is set up for this season. With basically you run 4 different tracks 3 times for the season. So you have 2 regular season races at each track, and then 1 playoff race at each of the tracks as well. So it's one of those things where you have to be good at all of them. You obviously, like I said, Daytona and Talladega, I feel like they're kind of their own animals, or I should say they're kind of the similar animals, where it's the 2.66 mile ovals or tri-ovals. Atlanta Motor Speedway, 1.5 mile, basically super speedway, very tight cord handling definitely comes into play. And then you get to iRacing Superspeedway with these trucks where these guys are going 230 plus, a really aggressive banking, really difficult pit road entry. And I feel like you have to be good at, that's what's cool is you have to be good now at all of these different types of tracks to be able to have a chance to win this championship, with basically 12 of some of the best super speedway racers in iRacing. It's going to be a challenge. I think, like I said, I think it's going to make everybody have to step up their game because, I feel like there was maybe more Talladega than I was used to those previous seasons. So I really like the change where they decided, hey, let's mix it up a little bit more, and I think it's done really well.
Absolutely. And, we talk about all these mixes of tracks. As you were talking about that, you really want a wild card. I think I know the perfect track just to randomly throw in the playoffs, Gael, and it would go so smooth, so great, and it would be action-packed, at least for us in the booth. We need to throw these guys at Monza in these trucks.
That's actually not the worst idea. I say maybe at least like an exhibition race or something. Get some, get their feet wet, and Monza could definitely be one to throw in the ring.
One off-season race, first one, Monza. Let's do it. Let's call it right now, Gael. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, that is definitely a track. If you hit something wrong, it's going to be a bad time because there's no safer barriers. There's not much survival over there if you hit something wrong.
The championship.
Oh, that would be a wild one.
But man, oh man, that would be an action-packed event to do at some point for sure. But talk about action-packed. Look at this third lane starting to form up here on the outside. And look who it is. Big damage earlier. But he's coming up here with his buddies. And can you believe that with 23 to go, that 88 starting to creep his way up to the front with Brian Wang with a big push. Getting a little bit of a wiggle there heading off into turn 3, but trying to get the lead now.
Yeah, that didn't take him very long to get that momentum built up, and also Dean Wilkinson hopped into that mix as well. So he's going to try to play a role in this thing as well as we hop onto the roof of that number 55. And this is where it gets a little tight. You see they're catching quickly that 9 of Bud Steele. I suspect we'll probably see Bud jump to the apron. Oh, this is going to get... Oh, there he goes, there he goes, there he goes. He just wanted to make us nervous there. He saying that... You wouldn't expect anything else from Bud Steele, from Charles Johnson, I should say, to drop to the apron. But again, he knows what he's doing here. He just waited to basically the last second to do it.
And you talk about making somebody nervous. Watch this 0-2 of Seth Groover here in this pack. He's stuck right in the middle of 8 trucks. Smack dab in the middle, and the aerodynamics going on with that truck, if you just watch it, is just bobbing around, shifting up and down. It's everything he can to hold on to it. Of course, as we call on him now, he looks nice and smooth this lap, but last lap, I thought we were going to have a yellow with that 0-2 spinning out. He was just moving around that much.
Yeah, and honestly, this is pretty much my nightmare where I would be on track is in the middle. In the middle, like I said, you're right between the 11 and the 510, and then you're pinned to the inside and outside by the 23 and the 88. There's just not a good place to be in this pack right now for that 0-2 trick of Seth, but that's why these guys do it. I say for him, he's probably not even. This is just a normal Thursday afternoon, evening for him. He's like, yeah, I'm in the middle 3 wide, and I've got nowhere to be able to breathe or go right now, but that's what I do.
Hey, you talk about being nervous in that, and I'm that racer. You've watched me in a few Area 51 events in the Premier Series. I see 3 wide. I'm like, hey, can I make it 4?
Yeah.
Like, I try to find the hole. I love going up through the middle, especially with a big run. A lot of times, the truck can actually be more stable nowadays, believe it or not. But it just depends on the aerodynamics you got going. And what Seth had going earlier wasn't so good, but now we see him break off 2 by 2, and Seth's going to come out in that 4th spot through all that.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well there for them. And like I say, that 5'10 Rick Sanchez, he's right back in the thick of this one as well. So, yeah, they've done a really, really good job of getting all these trucks lined up. Like you said, they're still kind of picking up and putting trucks down here. Like I said, Eric Laurie, love the dedication for Eric. Like I said, it's not the night he was hoping for, but he's gonna run this thing out to the end. Unless the motor pops, he's gonna be driving here. So he's gonna jump to the apron there. And you see right there, he's able to hustle that apron with a lot of speed still. You can do that at Talladega, iRacing Superspeedway, Daytona. It's a lot flatter. You cannot do what he was able to do. That's one thing I will say. That's one thing I do like more about Talladega is it's a little more forgiving when you're down on the apron for pit road exits, for maybe letting leaders on by. And of course, I won't lie. I of course love the extra 4 feet of width compared to Daytona because I'm not a big fan of trying to force 3-wide at Daytona. Talladega, all day, any day, I'll take that third lane. But like I said, for you, Maxwell, all day, every day, you'll take that fourth lane at Talladega.
There's a fourth lane at Daytona. I promise you that. I've been there, done that. It's a lot of fun. But one thing we need to be watching right now that's about to be a lot of fun is notice this outside lane dissolving. We're coming to 18 to go. The fuel window is getting ready to open, and these pit stops are going to be massive. And, Kyle, I'm really nervous that it's going to be almost every single truck on pit road at once for this last stop, and it is going to be a big one. But the big question is, with these yellows, do they try to maximize this entire run for green, white, checkers, or do they come as soon as the window opens to try to get on, get off, and make it quick?
You know, I kind of feel like this is a race where you can gamble and you say, you know what, I'm going to plan on this race going to the scheduled distance because right now you've got 14 trucks in this lead pack. So even if you have to top off, you don't lose a ton of time on track. So I'd be willing to gamble and maybe put that little bit less fuel in the truck and just plan on it going to the scheduled distance because then worst case scenario, if you do have to take a splash at the end, you might only lose maybe like at most, I'd say about 8 spots or so, depending on where you are on track. So I actually like the idea that these guys are doing here. I will see. I don't think we see anybody come in this time, but I think next time that pay window definitely will open at 16 to go. But like I think I'm the same way as you, though, Maxwell. I think I want to, if I'm pitting, I want to pit around 15 to go. I want to have just that one extra lap, but you got to be careful. You got to make sure you got people in your group to do the same because if they pit and you don't have anybody else with you, you're without a yellow, your race is over.
Absolutely, and I don't know if they don't pit right here with 17 coming to 16 to go, that they wouldn't have enough for one green, white, checkered attempt. But correct me if I'm wrong, Area 51 still has 3 attempts, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 3 green, white, checkered attempts.
I'm so messed up from other leagues I run that they just do 1. So that's still a big risk, but a lot of times we can get away with just 1 green, white, checkered here. So a lot of these guys might come this time, and we're about to see as they come off 4.
And yep, there's the answer. So no takers this time. So they're all going to go a little further. So they'll say they're at least going to 16 to go. So they'll say, yeah, like I said, 15 to go will be the next time by.
You know what that means, don't you?
We're going to have a whole field hidden pit road here.
Well, you're thinking nice here. I'm just thinking these guys are like, yeah, we're gonna wreck again. They're preparing for that green, white, checkered with fuel, right? They know it's gonna get dicey here at the end. Points are on the line, and they might be thinking, this race has been a little race of attrition here, and it might continue to be that way. We need to make sure we got a little insurance going into the end of this thing.
So now the question, though, is what do you do if you're the 11 and the 02 here? And I think there's your answer. The 02, he's drifting up top. He's going to try to, oh, Matt, you're not going to fit there.
I think you're going to come down here with them. You're just going to make a second lane and come on down.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a busy. This is going to be.
Oh, Austin Call loose. Is he going to save it? Oh, is he in the wall? Multiple cars. Big
Brian
flip. Big wreck. Brian Wang's second incident. That's going to bring out a yellow. And wow.
Right in the middle of pit stop
his
window.
Race could be close to done. I don't know how much damage he has. Oh, and the big smoker there. Another truck there done. A lot of guys hitting pit road right here. Maybe if they can if they got on pit road before pit road closed, they're good. This is a big track. If they did not, they're in trouble.
Yeah, so let's start off with Austin Call. We'll see how that one unfolded for him. Oh, and you see right there, actually, looks like Brian gets into the back of him coming out of turn number 4. Maybe he slowed up a little earlier than Brian was expecting, and so that's what sent him around. You see that full opposite lock. He's trying to catch it, and at some point he just gets the tiniest a bit behind the steering. It looks like on my side, and then yeah, there he goes. He's gonna go right back up. But then look at this is the second inside. We gotta watch that 510. Actually does Austin hang
That's
on
really
to
your
this
yellow
truck?
because Austin saves it. Your
Oh,
yellow
look at
comes right there.
Brian.
Oh, yeah, that's the second time that truck's went for a wild ride. I think there's going to be more damage than what we see here.
Yeah, let's focus on the 510s. I think that's actually where the initial contact occurs. So we'll focus on Rick here, try to get a better angle of him. So you see him down on the inside here. And I think what's happening for Rick is he says, wait, I don't want to pit. And all right, we're going to pause it there because we need to. Oh, there you go. Contact. He was trying to. I think he was trying to squeeze the gap. Matt was trying to come in. He was trying to go one more lap, and then right here, that little bit of contact that sends the 510 around, and then he hits the wall with a big hit there. The 02 just squeaks by, and then Todd Siebels gets into him, and oh man, look at Brian though, and 02 just sneaks through there. But yeah, definitely the 07's one that takes the hit for sure on this one. And does get back on his wheels, but unfortunately, I don't know what kind of shape that truck's gonna be in. But same thing though. I mean, he finds a way to grab the wheel and hangs onto that thing in the end. So great hands by Brian. Wow, that was a wild one. And I think with the way that all that cycled through, is Matt and Bud Steele were able to. I think the pit road, they got on pit road before it officially closed, so they basically got that free pit stop, if you will. And then everybody else here had to pit under yellow. We'll double check and make sure that Sebastian doesn't wind up rolling by him, but I think he's going to be okay. And yeah, unfortunately, though, it's going to be a tough spot for a handful of these other trucks. And it looks like, despite all this damage, I think, well, we'll see. Everett's, I think, is he out of fuel? He might be sputtering here, but I think he was the wave around truck, but he doesn't have the fuel to make it to pit road. So he's just trying to see if he can find any little ounce of fuel to fire that thing back up.
And I think all he's doing is kind of scrubbing more of his speed off there. So probably not going to make it. Probably going to have to take a tow. And I don't know, if you take a tow this late in the game, you're kind of out of it, I would think. You're probably going to lose at least one lap, if not two. So definitely be an interesting call there. But call of the race could be there with Matt Wagner, as we see Bud Steele dropping down now. Sebastian Marin here in second. Wagner kind of gets the lead, but we've seen this before. Is he going to be able to hold on for this win here tonight? Still 14 to go. Still a lot of racing left. And
I'm going to check one more thing here. I'm going to try to find a truck further back here because I want to see when this yellow is thrown. And I want to try to take a look at pit road entry, see if we can see the pit road lights, if it is on or not. And I don't see a good angle here. So
we are seeing that 24 currently go a lap down. Still trying to make it to pit road. And now he stops and tows.
All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and switch over to Matt. There's the caution light. Let's find Bud Steele. And I want to see when this thing flips to being closed. Look at Dean Wilkinson on that entry. And they still are in here. So let's see. I'm trying to see who else was behind them. I think Jim Brooks was hiding. Nope. There was a truck that was hiding. There it is. It was this truck here. Oh, actually, look, lights are red here. So now we're going to back it up just a tiny bit. All right, so right there, pit road closes. And look at the nose of Matt Wagner's truck.
Wagner barely made it. Just barely.
That's how close I believe Matt was from making it on. Yeah, this won't show us. But yeah, this
and if they just drive through, it's really no penalty. It's when you stop that you get your penalty.
Wow, that's how close it was for Matt to make pit road. So that's how he was able to grab the lead. Let's jump back up because we're 1 to green here. Matt is our race leader. And yeah, so we'll say, look at this again, the 44. We talked about Paul Buchanan. He's going to restart third now. He's right back into the thick of this thing. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we're good to the end on fuel for all these trucks. Green, white, checkered, still a question mark. Some drivers did top off, including Todd Siebels and David Overstreet. So, although David's pretty roughed up here, so Todd Siebels, unfortunately, involved in that wreck, I believe. But truck looks all right. Maybe had to take a fast repair. We'll keep an eye on that. But now, who's got the friends, Maxwell? I mean, who do we see working together in this final 12 laps after this restart?
Well, you know, Team Bootknocker will work together no matter what. Even if it's for 5th place, they're going to stick together. But got a lot of individual guys out here, in my opinion. Matt Wagner, I mean, he'll try to work with anybody, but at the same time, pardon my French, he'll also try to screw anybody too to get up here and get that first win. Seth Groover, we know, is rogue. He'll work with you until it doesn't benefit him anymore. He's going to go. And Austin Call, I've raced with that young pup enough to know that he's eager for wins. He's over here trying to have a good time, running hard. He's going to want that W here tonight as well. So a lot of guys are kind of one off here on their own, but Team Bootknocker will form together before this race is up, and that could be the big difference in who wins this race. But Matt Wagner leading, coming to 12 to go. We'll have to see if he can finally pull it off here tonight.
And that truck of Brian Wang still on track, so we'll see what. I mean, he went up and over, but we'll see if that thing has anything left in the engine. But yeah, Matt Wagner's going to lead this restart here. As I say, they're just about to hit that Geico restart zone. And there they are. Green flag is just about to wave as we get back going here. 12 to go, Maxwell. And it
Big
looks
jump
like
for that 23.
Yeah, look really good through the gears there for Sebastian. I don't know if he'll clear the 11, but right now I think he might actually. I wonder if Matt's maybe trying to get him to slide on in there, but nope, he's going to stay up on that top side with, again, and expect a big push here from that 02.
Absolutely. And at this point, fuel doesn't matter. Tires don't matter. All that matters is that you get that nose in the wind and you get the clean air. That's all you want. And if I'm Matt Wagner and I get the push and I clear, I start blocking both lanes. I know that sounds terrible, but when you're going for your first win, you have got to do every living thing in your power to get it. And I think that's what he's going to do here with a big push from that 44. In third place after spending half the race a lap down.
Yeah, so it's a really, really good job of saying. You also, we do have a few trucks here that we could see work together, and that's TWB Motorsports, Robert Rock, Dean Wilkinson. They're sitting there third and fourth.
Bootknocker coming on that outside.
Yep, here they come. And that's Brian Wang pushing the 80. How is that truck still going this fast, Maxwell?
Brian Wang's behind the wheel. Oh, and Sebastian in a big wreck. Oh, no, Kevin's involved. Groover's involved. Wow. Big hits. Austin Call, I believe, is involved in that as well. Sebastian got loose, but I don't know if it was from a push or what happened there, because he was in the middle, and we talked about these trucks getting real light there in the middle, and it was the tri-oval. He could have just got loose, but we're going to have to go back and take a look at that one.
Yeah, we're going to take another look to see what happened here. That's going to put us back under yellow, and you already see the contact, so we're going to back it up a little further here, get a better look to see. Almost looks like a little bit of a fight for real estate here. Let's back down. As I'm watching that 44 truck, and you see, I feel like he's drifting up a little too high here. Again, I don't see this as being anything intentional. And actually, I think the truck that we have to focus on, unfortunately, is going to be the truck that we were just counting the praises of, and that was that 44 Paul Buchanan, because watch what happens to him. But yeah, he drifts up. Yeah, he just drifts up into the side of Sebastian. Maybe just missed the corner. You see Sebastian tries to hang it, and then at that point, he's just along for the ride, and that's going to, then you'll see he right hooks that 44, and then 44 along for the ride. Catches, Kevin Freeze, big hit. Also, Bud Steele, and then, yeah, so then you see the 44 just, I think Jim Brookside possibly drives underneath that truck. So trucks involved, though, the 44, the 10 of Bud Steele. Let's see, we'll have to see how the 02, oh, yeah, here's the additional contact. Yeah, there's the Austin Call you just mentioned. And then Seth doesn't look too bad, I have to admit. And then also you see the 09 of Josh Lassen just sneaking through all this, possibly enough to get his lap back. Let's go one more time here. We'll focus on Josh here because I think he was in the lucky dog position at the time of this yellow. And so we'll focus on him real quick. And we'll go to Speedy C. He jumps straight to the top here. A little bit of contact there. So actually probably not going to get it. That little bit of contact will be enough to prevent that. We'll jump back live because we have a few trucks hitting pit road. Some for maybe a little extra fuel, some for damage.
I think a lot for damage.
Yeah, it's not going to be some. It's going to be most. But Kevin Freeze, this is going to be fast repair time for him. Watch that truck. Yep, pristine truck now for Kevin. He's going to drop a gear and get down and away. Sebastian Marin, probably about the same. Yep, there goes that truck. All the fenders nice and popped out. Going to get tires for good measure as well. And then, yeah, probably the same here for Robert Rock and company. So if you got a fast repair, you're probably using it right now. The Austin Call looks like maybe had to use his because he still sits on pit road. Looking at Seth Groover, yeah, truck's a little rough. He burned his, so he's got to get this thing repaired manually, unfortunately for him. And the question mark to me is this guy here. And I think we need to bug him here. Let's grab that 07. Because I mean, if you told me, Maxwell, that a truck went up and over, already used his fast repair, and is now sitting in third and apparently having pace, I'd never believe you. But at the same time, I've seen Eric Laurie hold the draft and get a top 5 finish without a front clip on this thing. So, Brian, how is this possible?
Yeah, I really don't know. My car was upside down, almost barrel rolling pretty much on that front stretch in that one wreck. It seems like the engine wasn't damaged at all. It was just the right side, I believe. So I was able to get it fixed. It was like a minute 40, and it was a bit slow, single car, but in the draft it seems to keep up and be able to push at least.
Well, I mean, we talked about that you're going to kind of be shooting for the fences to try to see if you can find a way to jump into the playoffs in this last 3 races here. Obviously, incident-free not happening tonight. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you won't get a 0x when you flipped a couple times. But then the other thing was we always joked about, like, sometimes you'd have some fun and silly paint schemes that always would make us laugh. But I think you've been picking up some serious sponsorships. So say, while we have you, before we get this restart going, tell us about HoloLive.
It's actually just also a parody. It's because Sebastian basically turned me into a weeb. He got me into anime, and saw this car on Twitter. Cody Ware retweeted it, and it was just really funny, so I just had to paint it.
Well, I mean, you've done a good job with it because it looks like legit sponsors, so hats off to you on that one, so that the trend continues of the fun paint schemes. But Brian, we'll let you get back to it because we are 1 to go. So good luck, man, and let's try to keep this thing on all 4 wheels the rest of the way.
Thanks.
He even sounds like Larry Yingling when you interview him, if you think about it.
No, I'd say we might have to do some DNA testing to see if they're not related.
I want a Larry and Brian broadcast on Green White Checker TV. Can we make that happen, Gael?
I've tried.
Can we have your people talk to their people?
Oh, I've talked to their people for Larry, and they say we'll get back to you, and then it's just silence. So usually what happens is like, hey, Larry, and the answer is no. Like, I don't even get to ask the question. Larry's just like, no. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I love Larry. I loved racing with him. I hope we can get back on track with him. I don't think we'll be able to pull him into the booth. I will do my absolute best to find a way to make it happen. But, and then, yeah, so right now looking at the leaderboards here, Maxwell, we still have 14 trucks on the lead lap. Bob Fitzgerald, Josh Laston are the 2 trucks 1 lap down. I believe the 04 may have got his lap back on that previous yellow, so I think he was the beneficiary after we saw the contact for Josh Laston. So yeah, so we're going to restart this thing, 7 to go. Fuel is no problem for anybody anymore. Green White Checkers could come into play for fuel potentials. Now I think it's survival. Like you said, it's an attrition race here. I mean, you see David Overstreet, he is 6th. That truck's front nose not the happiest on that Busch machine, but Brian Wing is 3rd. He flipped earlier tonight. I mean, is there any way you can actually have a favorite in this race at this point?
I have to go with the guy leading. I think Matt Wagner, this might be his night. You see who's on his outside, though. You see who he has to beat. Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, Dean Wilkinson, Todd Siebels, all very strong plate racers in Area 51 competition, and Kevin Freeze right back there in 8th with a fresh, fast repair. You know he's going to be coming through the field. Also, Sebastian Marin's not going to stay back there in the back. A lot of guys still in it. It's time to see what can happen as the pace truck is in. These trucks come through the tri-oval one more time. Matt Wagner, your leader, and Gabe Butler there in 2nd. And they're going to let Wagner get to a huge lead, and I think this was the setup. I think the 88 wants to get with Wang and then be able to make the move later. But here goes Wagner. He's going to try to block both lanes like we talked about. I think that's what you're going to have to do, and he better stay up top, but he's a little too late here. Big run from the 88.
And I think if he goes top, Gabe's just going to go even higher.
Oh, no, this is not what you wanted. Leader spun to the infield, and we're continuing to stay green. Yeah, and that motor's popped as well, so that's going to be night over for Matt Wagner in that 11 truck. And out of nowhere with all that, when we're watching that 11 truck, look at these two, the 25-23. They got their fast repairs. They get to the front here now, battling for the lead with Gabe Butler, Dean Wilkinson right there as well.
And yeah, that's going to be a heartbreaker for Matt. You see Brian now, he's going to jump up top with his teammates. And actually I'm not going to say hanging out Gabe to dry, but you've kind of got right now a boot knocker versus TW right now as it's running 4 versus 2. But yeah, at some point though, I think these TW guys are going to have to find a way to get off the bottom because otherwise they're just going to get pinned down here.
Absolutely, and I don't know with the way the separation is now that we're going to have any more yellows. Normally when you see an incident early like that, they kind of just stop unless something happens mid-pack. But the racing up front is fierce. And Kevin Freeze, he has not had the season he's wanted, been in a lot of wrecks compared to last season. But here he is now getting pushed by Sebastian. They both got the faster pairs. Those are fresh trucks, and you can tell they're fresh trucks. They're making their way to the front. And Kevin Freeze is going to look to see if he can get a win on the season here and kind of rebound in these points a little bit and play on other people's misfortunes because I don't know that anybody in this field has a 0x after the way this race has been, Gael.
Yeah, it's very unlikely anybody's got a clean truck after tonight. It says those 3 bonus points probably not going anywhere, but I see one more TW truck peeked in there, that 171 Robert Rock. He's right in the thick of this now as well. You see Austin Call, he's worked his way back up here as well, so if those TW drivers can find a way to get locked on together, that could be a great opportunity for them. But like I said, they got to find a way. I think right now they're going to have to eventually abandon Gabe and get to the middle or top lane to have a chance to win this race. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to do it soon because we've got 5 to go, coming to 4 to go at the line.
Absolutely. These guys side by side pushing really hard. Robert Rock trying to get in the picture. David Overstreet, you talked about that truck not being 100%. Look at him up here in the top 10 when it matters most. Seth Groover whipping out a line. I don't know if that was the move to make this early, but he's trying to get that third lane going, see if he can get up to the front. If he don't like to do it mid-race, why would he like to do it now? Bud Steele coming back in the picture back there as well. This is still anybody's race. And these guys up front could easily get themselves teamed up on. And there's Wagner still going slow around the track. And I think he's actually, no, he's staying below the yellow for all these guys, making sure he stays out of the way. But definitely got the whole field of trucks here now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But right now it's a dead heat between Gabe Butler and Kevin Freeze.
Yeah, no, at this point, like I said, I feel like Dean is kind of between a rock and a hard place because he had the opportunity earlier. He could have. It doesn't seem like something you'd want to do, but he could have backed off a little bit and dropped behind the 23 and then hopped up top. Because you can see, I think Brian, even as he's
still getting loose back there,
saying he's a couple laps down, so he's got to be careful. He wants to obviously get all the points he can, and you can see the O2. He wants to get up there, just so far hasn't found anybody to go with him. Bud could be a good pusher for that O2. We could see them hooked together. And yeah, here goes. You see the 171, Robert Rock. He's going to jump, but does he have the help? No, not yet. But with Brian Wing's damage, though, he can't hold the back of those 2 in front of him. So this actually, I think, puts the 25 and 23 at a bit of a deficit right now. So like I said, I mean, I see there's been some openings for the 45 Todd Siebels. He could try to sneak up in between the 23 and the 07 and be able to try to lead that third lane afterwards. But he's just, so far, he's stayed committed to the 55. But eventually they're going to have to get greedy, and I think this is the time to do it now if Dean can.
Absolutely. Coming to just 2 laps to go here. Still a dead heat up front, but we see momentum in that third lane. These guys working their way to the front. Going to be 3 by 3 again for the lead very soon. Robert Rocks made it to the door of Sebastian Marion and trying to get up to the door of Kevin Freeze. If this third lane can stay wound up and Josh Laston looks to be trying to jump in that room with Austin Call ditching the middle lane, these guys could have the numbers in the trucks to make this third lane work, and that would be an upset on Team Bootknocker for sure as they head into 3.
Yeah, right now it's definitely anybody's guess as how the top 3 is going to end up. You see every so often the ebb and flow right now. The middle just dropped back a tiny bit, and the top and the bottom had the momentum. But then out of 4, you can see the outside lane, the outside 2 lanes, I should say, start to improve again a little bit. So right now, these guys, they want to get to this white because then they know it's an official race, and then it'll be within reason whoever gets there first. And we're going to get to that white flag, Maxwell. So scheduled distance here tonight. Now we got to find out who is going to bring home the W.
Absolutely. The W is one thing, but points are another. These guys got to remember this is still 2 races to go. These points matter. You got to get this top 10 finish if you want to stay in that top 12. One wreck here could really set you back going into the last race of the regular season. So 3 by 3 by 3 they are on the back stretch going into turn 3. It's a dead heat with the front runners. The inside lane obviously going to get momentum early, but watch for that outside lane to really get a big run coming out of 4.
Now the question is, Gabe, does he stay committed to the bottom with Dean, or does he need to consider blocking the momentum from Kevin Freeze? The answer looks like he's going to stay with the 55 Dean Wilkinson. Now it's just who can get the best push through the trial. And it looks like it's going to be Gabe Butler getting the push, getting the win here tonight at Talladega. And
Surprise winner!
Yeah, yes, shocking winner, Gabe Butler. And I believe it's going to be Kevin Freeze over Dean Wilkinson. I say we're actually going to back it up to the checkered flag again. We'll get one more look at it at the line here so we can get a better look to see who crossed in what order here. That way you can see where your favorite driver came across the line. So let's get our better angle here. And then we'll take a look as we come through the slow-mo. We'll pause it right at the line there. And, ooh, that is tight between Kevin and Dean there. I'm not sure who got that second spot. Almost, oh man, that's going to be in the thousandths of a second. But what we do know for sure, that 88, he finds a way once again. Gabe Butler getting the win here tonight at Talladega.
I'm shocked that he's not in some pro series on iRacing for super speedway racing. I've raced with the man at other tracks. He's kind of just average everywhere else, but you bring him to a super speedway and he flourishes. I don't want to say it, but he does remind me a lot of just Dale Earnhardt. Like he can see the draft, he can see what's going on, he can see what's formulating in front. He knows when the wrecks are going to come, he knows when they're not, and I feel like almost every single race I broadcast, this is the winner that comes out every single time. What an amazing champion Area 51.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, he's the most modest, successful racer that I know. Like usually in these guys, the guys that are fast like Gabe is, there's ego involved. Gabe, he's nothing without his help, and he's gonna thank Dean multiple times tonight. He's gonna thank his teammates because that's who he is. But I mean, he's obviously got to give himself a lot of credit. But before, oh my goodness. As Brian Wayne goes flying.
There's not going to be any donuts.
Yeah, no donuts for Gabe. And Brian, I think, just landed.
We've got to watch that.
We're going to go back and watch that one more time. This time we'll focus on Brian. So, because that was well done there. But let's go to the 07 of Brian Wayne, because that truck, and we're going to go full slow-mo here because I don't even know if the camera's going to focus on this thing. But you see Brian, he's going to come visit his friend Gabe Butler. Gabe's like, yep, I got you. And then there goes Brian. He's up into pretty much orbit here. I don't even know. Yeah, we can't even see where he is at this point. And then eventually, yeah, you see, we've lost him. And wow. So, I mean, so he's also apparently a launch pad. And that truck, I mean, it's had enough flips. Why not a few more there? But well
you think
done.
Just because of the accidents earlier, just made that truck, maybe they repaired it with some nice rubber and made that thing real bouncy. So when they hit, he just went bouncing off everything. Maybe that's how he survived tonight. Maybe that truck's made out of nice rubber.
The deck lid there. I've never seen that back part of the deck lid come off before, so that's a new one for me too. That's some new damage I've never seen. And Gabe's got the whole front clip of that missing truck. That should probably be the winner picture there. But let's go through the results before we get to those top three, though. And yeah, indeed it was. So Gabe Butler winning by just about 600ths of a second, but there you go. It went to the tens of the thousandths of second between Dean Wilkinson, Kevin Freeze, 061. Looks like Dean edges him out for that second position. Todd Siebels. So it wasn't a complete Todd Siebels race as he got involved in an incident late, but did what he usually does, wait till the end, then make the big move. Sebastian Marin rounds out the top five with his rare appearance tonight. Then Robert Rock, Seth Groover, Gary Winters, David Overstreet, Brian Wang, again with that truck, flipped over, still finishes in the top 10. Well done, Brian. And then Austin Call, Robert Jordan, and Randy Lapidus are our final lead lap finishers. And then, unfortunately, those a lap or more down, including Josh Last and Bob Fitzgerald, Bud Steele. Obviously, a heartbreaker for Matt Wagner. Having a chance, just unfortunately, I think that got that bump out of two a little wrong, sent him off to the end. At the end of that race in 17th, Paul Buchanan there in 18th. continuing down the order. Then you have Eric Laurie and Jim Brooks there, 1920th. Charles Johnson, Everett Lane. A tough night for Vicente. That is going to be tough on him in points. In 23rd, Richard Sanchez, 24th. Adam Kilday, Rudy Doden, Todd Danbury, and Michael Mayu in 28th position. And David Overstreet chiming in there, say not bad for a minute and 50 worth of damage, who brought it home in 9th place. So yeah, well done, David, as well. And then highest climber, that's not a surprise. Todd Siebel's 21 positions gained.
Wow. Big mover there tonight. But Gael, I think it's about time that we talk to these top 3 finishers and kind of get their insight on what was a clean but crazy but action-packed but calm race. See the oxymorons there, man? It was all over the place here tonight. We got to see what they thought about this event.
Yeah, we're going to kick it off. So we chatted with him earlier, but bring Kevin Fries back in for an extra interview tonight. And Kevin, it went to the tens of thousands between you and Dean there at the finish. And then you were able to save that fast pair, and it came into play there at the end because, I mean, you went for a ride yourself, but you saved it until you needed it, and you put it to good use there with you and Sebastian getting hooked up and getting to the front. And just to say, it seemed like you didn't have that third truck that could really help you with Brian doing his best with that truck that somehow still held the draft after flipping. Was that the difference, or was there anything else you feel like maybe played a role in not being able to kind of get that middle lane going tonight?
Yeah, Brian got caught up with that incident that occurred from a car pitting from the second lane. So that damage and doing his barrel roll, it really, like, I know when I was pushing him behind Gabe before I got caught up in that wreck, I had to stay pretty tucked up on him just to keep him rolling forward. He had a minute 40 seconds, I think, of damage. But yeah, that was a little bit of a difference. But Dean, I mean, he did a heck of a job. I was just watching that bottom lane. They got hooked up on the backstretch, and I mean, he didn't move off center the slightest bit. It was just perfect positioning so that they could take off and get Gabe get that W.
And Kevin, you having an interesting season so far. Probably not the season you've exactly been looking for. A lot of strong runs, but a lot of crazy wrecks you've been involved with this season, and a lot of different things taking you out of some of these wins. But after tonight, going in with one race left, I mean, you finished third. You're putting yourself in a good spot to try to get in this top 12 in points. But we looked at it coming in tonight. I mean, from third place down to 12th was only separated by maybe 20 points. I mean, it wasn't much. So going into this last race and seeing the wrecks you were in, but still coming to get a third, I mean, how do you feel your chances are at iRacing Superspeedway of making sure you get in this playoff hunt?
I love that track. If there's a track I could pick, it would be that one. Because I feel as long as you can stay out of other people's mess, which seems to be everywhere. I mean, that's how I used to score a lot of my points. The bonus points were huge with the 0 incidents, but it's been tough sledding to get those 0x races. I only have one so far this year, or this season. So that's going to be important, just being there at the end. I mean, you have so many options at ISS where you can put your car. Nobody can really create a parking lot because the track is, I mean, theoretically 5 lanes, 6 lanes wide. You have options there. So I'm looking forward to that track. I love that place.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a fun one, and obviously with these trucks, like I said, you go from the 180, 190s here, jump to about 230s over there. So that extra speed always makes it a wild one for sure. And yeah, so I mean, so you're probably happy the way this schedule's lining up with the finales being regular season finale at iRacing and then the playoff finale as well for those final 4 races. Yeah. So that's probably about the perfect option for you then.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I like all the tracks. I mean, Talladega, I feel like it's probably the easiest out of all of them, but I really look forward to like going to Atlanta, going to iRacing, where driving the car properly is really important. Not missing your corner at ISS, because if you hit that apron or if you drift high, you're gonna get caught up in somebody else. and you're going to ruin your race and probably a bunch of other people. But you just have to race smart, like not take unnecessary risks and have smart pit stops, like not pitting from the second lane and just taking care of people out there.
Yeah, I would say that definitely was a wild one tonight. With we definitely saw unfortunately the outcome of that contact. But before we let you go though, sir, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that podium tonight.
Yeah, huge thanks to the teammates who were with us tonight. We had Brian, Eric, Everett, Gabe. It was nice to have Seabass back, and Rick was with us for up until that incident going into the pits took him out. That was pretty unfortunate for him that he couldn't continue racing because he had a pretty good run going there. It was working well with the draft, moving up towards the front. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thanks to you, Gal, and Gabe for all the hard adminning work, as well as your dad.
Well, great job. We'll just go celebrate your teammates, man.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Maxwell is our third place finisher there of Kevin Freeze. And then, like I said, it was tens of thousands of a second to this guy here in that number 55 of Dean Wilkinson. So I would love to see iRacing kind of implement the tens of thousands so we could see how close it was. But it was a tie all the way there to that point, Dean. But, I mean, you were committed, and there's multiple times tonight where I was telling Maxwell that it's like, man, he's going to have to bail off of Gabe and get to the middle or top to try to hook up with Dean and Robert, and they could try to make that third lane go to get a TW win. But was it just that you felt like their best bet was on that inside line, or you just didn't feel like you ever saw an opening to get to the middle? I mean, take us through the thoughts there at the end of towards the end of this race.
My thought was you can't go wrong if you're behind Gabe. Pushing him is like easy peasy. So yeah, I didn't see any opportunity to get up to the middle. So no. I figured I'd push Gabe as hard as I could to a win, and hopefully I'd get a podium, top 4. I need to move up because I wasn't there last week, so got to make up some positions for the next race, or next 2 races, I guess.
And Dean, tonight as we were watching this race unfold, we normally talk about you all the time because you're up front mixing it up, but really didn't see much of you there toward the end of the race. Kind of what was your strategy here tonight? And did you think Dega was going to be as big of a wild card race as it seemed to be tonight with all the major wrecks and things going on?
Yeah, actually, because I noticed a few new names that I didn't recognize or have not raced around. So, and during practice, it was kind of iffy with some of the new drivers. So I thought I would start from the back or stay at the back, and I think it paid off because I missed every wreck just by being back there.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to mention, Maxwell, was we did not have an incident-free truck. However, Dean honestly probably should be the incident-free truck because he did have one incident point, but like I said, he was probably going through the grass to avoid a wreck. So I might even bring that up in future ones because I kind of feel like that's one that could be given some leeway where it was incident free. Just unfortunately, his path to not getting wrecked was going off track there. So yeah, I mean, you did a really, really good job of keeping that truck clean. Like I said, probably one of the few, if only, honestly. So yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good job. And like I said, I mean, started 5th, finished 2nd, but it definitely, I'm sure it didn't feel like it was just like a Thursday afternoon drive. It seemed like there's a lot going on tonight.
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good racing too. I mean, yeah, that was a fun race.
Well, before we let you go and debrief with your teammates there, sir, and I can confirm on the point thing, it doesn't account for any drop weeks yet, but that result you had bumps you up into, I believe, 11th in points. So you are now in the playoff window. There's 12 trucks now they're taking this season. So right now you're at 160 points in 11th, and 12th right now sitting at 155. So it's definitely still not a ton of breathing room. I'm hopefully maybe the drop week will help you. We'll have to see on that one, but obviously you got one more regular season to go after that one. So, but yeah, great job tonight, Dean, though, and definitely want to give you the floor here for any thanks and shout outs for that runner-up.
I just want to thank you guys for the broadcast, Area 51 for putting on a great league, and all my teammates, Robert, Todd, Charles. Yeah, they had pretty good runs too. I think Robert, Todd, both top 10. So good, congrats to them, and congrats, Gabe. Good win.
All right, great job tonight, Dean. Great results, and look forward to seeing you again here soon, sir.
Have a good night.
All right, Maxwell, that leaves us one driver left to chat with, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 88 of Gabe Butler. Say gets the win, does a nice launch pad impression for Brian Wing there at the end. I mean, what is there that this man cannot do tonight? Gabe, I say Maxwell says like the shocker of the season, Gabe Butler gets a win. I haven't been paying attention to the stats, but that is 4 wins out of your 6 starts, 5 top 5s out of those 6 starts. So, I mean, other than apparently one bad race and 1 missed race, obviously, which now bumps you up to a 35-point lead. I mean, you've just been on a roll here. I mean, is it just, I mean, I know I've asked you before. I mean, I know you don't do anything special or you don't change your approach. Is that what it is? Just like the approach you take just seems to work more often than not?
Maybe, or I just have really good teammates. That'd be more in line with where I get. I think, I've said it a million times. You're nothing without your teammates on super speedways, and even though Dean's not a teammate, he did a great job pushing me tonight. So I guess I ended up getting lucky. I mean, it was a kind of a crazy race there when it's all said and done.
You know, Gabe, we've been in this situation before once, twice, 4, 10, 50, 200, maybe even 1,000 times interviewing you here at the top of the step here. Not a whole lot of questions I could think anymore to ask you. I guess I could give you one joking one. Do you know what number win this is for Area 51 for you? Do you have a running tally? Do you keep up with these wins? Because you've easily, I'm sure, racked up the most in Area 51 history.
I don't, but now that you mention it, I might look it up after we get off here. I don't really.
And on a serious note, you need to look that up and let us know. I'll probably have our stat man guy, or Brooks, look that up too.
I'm doing it right now, and actually, Gabe, next, I mean, I'm sure it might have count for some exhibition races, so I have to double check that a little bit. But next win will be Area 50 win number 50, so he's at 49 after tonight.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it was that much at all.
I guess I'm going to have to race with him next season, guy. I'm going to have to see if I can keep that from hitting 60. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, whatever that number was, I think I won one by myself, and the rest were the teammates. So.
Oh, yes, always giving credit to those teammates. One question I do have for you, though, is we've seen this season in and season out where you run up front, you get these wins early in the season, and then we hit the playoff reset time, and last season didn't quite go your way with Kevin Freese coming out with that championship. But we know you can dominate, but with the mixture of tracks this year, I already know you're going to be in the playoffs. What I want to know is, how are you going to go about these playoffs once they begin with 4 completely different tracks this time? I mean, we saw tonight, Talladega's the track y'all have made more laps at than probably any other track on iRacing, period, in Area 51. Yet it was such a wild card tonight with the wrecks and the things going on and just how the race unfolded. What's it going to take for Gabe Butler to come out on top even after resetting all these points?
Well, like you say, you can have all the wins in the world during the regular season, but if you can't produce in the playoffs, then it didn't really mean anything. So I've just got to, not necessarily be more aggressive, but just be more aware, I guess, and try and keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully get the help. And if I don't, then, I'll push my teammates like they push me. So, and a bit of luck thrown in there too. That never hurts.
Oh man, I mean, like I said, I think we even joked about it before the interview. It was how the talent and the abilities that you have, yet the modesty that you also have. Like, it's usually when there's drivers that are as good as you are at what you do, you see the ego. I feel like you're the complete polar opposite of that. Where probably one of the most modest drivers out there.
Well, I mean, Well, I try to be, because again, if I didn't have these guys around me, there's no way I'd be winning races. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, the one thing if it was, a mile and a half or something like that, but at super speedways, uh, and you're trying to run by yourself, I mean, you just have to be a monster to win a race by yourself. So, I mean, that's why I throw the credit to the teammates. I mean, they fully deserve it, and I've no shame in putting all the credit to them. So.
Well, it's always a pleasure to watch you work your magic, Gabe. So before we let you go, though, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for win number 49.
Well, obviously, big thank you to Dean there for the push at the end. And, of course, the Rockstar teammates that I got in Area 51 for putting this league on. And, of course, you guys up in the booth, man. I swear to God, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And it's great fun going back and watching the race and the way you guys catch everything and analyze it. It's always spot on. So top drawer broadcast there, gentlemen.
Definitely appreciate it. As I said, it's been a pleasure to do this and look forward to doing more of it. And like I said, yeah, I mean, we said it time and time again, I feel like you guys make it look easy for us to be able to put these on. So, but yeah, great job tonight, man. Go celebrate your teammates, and then we will talk soon, sir.
All right, guys, have a good evening.
All right, Maxwell, that is our race winner in that number 88. And I think for good measure, we're probably just about getting to that time where he's going to be able to turn Brian Wang into a space shuttle here. I say not at Daytona, but here at Talladega, there's another shuttle launch, it looks like. But man, that was a wild one tonight. Like I said, it was definitely some attrition base, and we saw a little bit of both. Obviously, a great recovery from Kevin, saving that fast repair late. Dean Wilkinson kept that truck clean from pretty much the start to the finish. And then Gabe, I mean, I say was involved in some stuff, but was able to, he had at least one great wreck avoidance there early. And just, yeah, wild one once again tonight. But once it came down to it, I mean, he put himself in the best spot and seems to be what he does best.
Like you just said, it's what he does best. This is his niche, his thing. Some people's thing is road course racing. Some are mile and a half. Some are short track ringers. This is a super speedway master at his best. I mean, who can even launch a truck as great as Gabe Butler? Like, seriously. I mean, I give him 11 out of 10 on that space shuttle launch with Brian Wang right there that we get to beautifully witness. So, no, all joking aside, though, Gabe Butler is one of the best out there. Anytime I've been on track with him in this Thursday Super Speedway League, he's never been shy to sharing any secrets he's got, but no matter what, he's like the old man that gives you all the advice, but still knows how to beat you at the end of the day. So he's really good at all this stuff. I love racing with him. Kind of getting that itch. I know I can't commit to full seasons, but I mean, just getting that itch to want to get out on track with a man like Gabe and just bump draft around and side draft and just have a fun time. Just watching these guys going 3 and 4 wide. But no, he's definitely one of the best, and a lot of these truckers here can learn a lot from Gabe.
Yeah, and that's what I think the best part about him, like you said, is he doesn't hold any secrets. Like if you go and you talk to him on Discord and he's like, hey, like, how are you doing this? Or what are you doing? He will tell you right away. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I think's the best way to, or the best settings that I use. And there's no secrets with him. But like you said, he still finds a way to even if you ran the absolute identical settings as Gabe, he'll still find a way to pull one out on you. So, yeah, like I said, super modest, and it's what you want from a racer. He's fast, he's clean, and he's just a great example for everybody else to kind of what you want to do as a driver yourself. So, yeah, I really, really want to thank you, obviously, Maxwell, for doing these with me. Big congrats to Gabe, of course, getting that win tonight. And yeah, one more regular season race to go, and then we get into our kind of get our playoff week going here.
And we're going to iRacing Super Speedway of all places to settle a regular season championship. You know how extreme that's going to be next Thursday night? It's going to be action packed.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'd say I wouldn't have it any other way. It's going to be a blast. So definitely hope you all come over and watch again here on Green White Checker TV. Like I said, Maxwell, as always, a pleasure doing these with you. And yeah, so stay tuned. We will be back on Sunday night. We'll be starting off the iRacing season finale over with the Next Gens. And then, of course, back on Tuesday night, not on broadcast, but Tuesday night we'll be racing with the open wheel redacted series. I'm not allowed, don't know what we're allowed to say or not say, don't want to get anybody in trouble. And of course then back here again on Thursday night. So yeah, so if you're ever interested, we have locked down the recruiting for the rest of the season, so we will not be taking any new members, but if you're interested, you can find us at area51iracing.com. Get ready for next season, which won't be too far away. So Maxwell, as always, a pleasure, sir. Everybody watching, thank you so much for watching, for supporting us. And we'll be back on Sunday night for the next gens. Until then, take care, stay safe, have a good night, and we'll see you all Sunday.